blows my mind. This world will never get old.
As time goes on, more and more virtual spaces are becoming more realistic. Eventually, we won't even be able to tell the difference between what's in the virtual world and what's real life. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. Right now, there are countless creatives putting their heart and soul into making virtual spaces throughout the internet sphere. Game studios and individuals. There's one game that allows a bar of entry low enough that anyone can get a start to making their creative endeavors a reality. VRChat.
I can't even English, but it's like 2021. What's the last update?
Who are the creators behind these worlds? How do they make them? How can we make them? Do they make money? How is VRChat's approach to categorizing these worlds, and how can it be better? To get to the bottom of everything, I interviewed some of the most well-known world creators to get their opinions.
Hi, my name's Sam.
Hi, I'm Camille.
Hello, I'm Cripsy.
My name's Artsy Glitch.
Hello, I'm XCirrex.
So I'm Niko.
Hey, I'm WispyWoo.
I am Silyataru.
I make worlds.
I've been making worlds for 4 years.
I am a world creator.
I'm a world creator in VRChat. I make games and hangout worlds and a lot of music experiences.
I am a game developer in real life, and then in VR, Sam and I have been making worlds together for 2 years almost.
My day job, I work as a lighting designer for architecture, which kind of brought me into the whole 3D space of creation as well.
And I've made worlds like Soft Space, Cozy Cabin.
Most well known for Solar Cabins, also the CyberLab series.
Abyssal Seas Remeshed, Pocket Rain, Pocket Storm.
And I'm the creator of the horror experience, The Smile Room, and Fears.
Soft Sea, Soft Solace.
Some of the ones you might know is like Sundown, Metro Heights, Off the Glow. I have a big focus on like comfy and homey vibes.
My worlds are more about space stuff. Solar System, that was the first world I released here. And second one was Exoplanet Journey. I just started with a few scenes that I used from stuff I made in Altspace, and it grew over time. So it's now a lot bigger than it was ever before.
Cozy Apartment, Cozy Cottage. Yeah.
And it is pretty here in this world. But what is a world in VRChat?
That's what the world looks like, and the sun is still rising.
Quite briefly, it's a box that you can run around in. It's got a solid surface that you can stand on that's shaped and colored in ways that make it look like stuff. Those aren't stairs, those are polygons made to look like stairs and then colored to be stairs. And on the inside of that box is a picture that you can see when you look out. That's the skybox. But how do people get started making these worlds, and what programs do they use in the first place?
I bought a very expensive piece of kit called a VR headset, and I figured that I should do something with it.
I met some people through Steam, and they introduced me to VR.
I got into VRChat during like the whole COVID era, and everyone was like partying and having fun in VR.
I had so much spare time during those first months. Udon dropped at the kind of same time, so I just started learning coding there. I had never done any coding before, or 3D modeling.
I had met my own group in that. We started drinking together, and we really wanted our own club wall. We ended up hiring someone, but it just ended up falling through, and the commission didn't really happen.
After kind of just casually playing for a while, I had a friend who was like, you can make worlds in Unity, and she started doing it. So I kind of just followed.
I done my first world in 2020.
I started back then in 2022. I always loved creating things before VRChat as well.
I wanted to make my bedroom because I thought it'd be fun to do. I made it all in Unity, and it was terrible.
I just downloaded Unity back then and started working on my first homeworld, which was not very good.
And I was like, hey, I've made 3D models before. I'd never touched Unity. I could give it a shot. And then I did. And it was really, really bad.
I didn't use any other programs but Unity at that point. I would use Pro Builder.
I started making a world and it was really bad. Sam would kill me, but I did it in Pro Builder in Unity.
I originally use something called Pro Builder, which is an extension for Unity that acts kind of like an in-Unity version of Blender, and probably worked that way for about a year.
Then I wanted to expand my bedroom to be outside what my bedroom is. That turned out to be Cozy Apartment.
I hit Sam up because we had a mutual friend, and I was like, hi. Like a week or a couple weeks later, I was like, Sam, I have this idea for a world. Like, can we make it? And he was really like hesitant about it. He was like, okay, well, we can try. And that one was Soft Space.
At some point, I decided to make a horror world because I really like horror. That's how the Skyrim got created.
Really, it just kind of seems like these creators all started out in similar ways. Got curious, wanted to make something, and did it because they had time. But we're missing one, Niko, who started in Altspace.
So Altspace was a really small platform. It was founded during the same time as VRChat was.
Altspace VR is a VR game that is eerily similar to Rec Room or Meta Horizon Worlds.
But the development was a bit different because while VRChat was almost PC only most of the time, that Quest part came later, just the recent years. Altspace was more like the mobile version of it.
In fact, after an initial dev period, Microsoft bought it and it became their VR baby.
We actually saw some progress developing the platform, but in the end it shut down because it was too small. Like there was a peak of maybe like 200 people. Microsoft kind of kept it alive for a while, but they were developing their business mesh platform. At some point they just decided, okay, we don't want to maintain Altspace anymore, we shut it down.
When Altspace was shut down in the end, Niko and many other creators like him had a choice. They either stop creating and let their previous creations die alongside Altspace, or move to another platform. And for Niko, that was VRChat.
Most of them came here to VRChat because it's probably the best alternative at the moment when it's about freedom of creation. VRChat was the obvious choice.
Great, but how do they make worlds?
So generally for me, it's broken up into like 3 main programs.
Blender.
I use Blender.
I use Blender to obviously make my topology.
Blender, it's a 3D tool. You could use any 3D tool. It doesn't really matter. Some people like Maya, some people like Blender. It's fine.
I'm probably one of the very few people who uses SketchUp as a 3D modeling program.
I basically just use Unity.
And that's why everything looks so blocky and low poly.
Like most of my things that I created are modeled by myself inside Unity, which is very uncommon. A lot of people use Blender, but I never liked Blender. I started with Pro Builder, but I didn't like the UI of it. So I switched to UModeler.
And then I use Substance Painter to texture.
Substance
Painter.
And Photoshop.
For Worlds specifically, you don't want to be substancing everything. Like we use things like trim sheets and like repeating textures.
I do not use Substance Painter. I really should learn it, but I am way too lazy.
Generally, it comes down to a lot of like more focus objects, like side stuff you want to be more careful with and put more care into. You kind of substance those.
Other than that, I of course use Unity.
Unity.
And of course Unity to get it all in VRChat.
You take all of those models with all of those textures from all these different places and then put them into Unity.
So having the basics of Unity, how to navigate, how to use a project window, how to place objects, and all that stuff.
You create like a ton of function, add mirrors, do all the VRChat stuff that, VRChat people love. Add a pool table.
And then I use FL Studio for making audio, music, and all those kind of neat effects for my words as well.
When people make worlds, I would assume most people already know what they want. Sure, you'd get some inspiration from the internet.
Pinterest.
AI renders.
There's so much like environment AI art that it's like you can pretty much get inspiration from anywhere online.
Games you play.
I usually get inspired by movies or other horror games that I play.
If you're making a world, most people have an idea of what they want. It's not avatars, it's not fashion. Anybody and everybody can get behind interior decorating because it's something we all have experience with, unless you grew up homeless, I guess. But putting the map together is different because to put an asset in the world, you need the asset. Pillows, chairs, plants, pool tables, coffee machines. Assets, baby.
So from pretty early on, even during my Pro Builder days, assets were typically completely made by me.
I used to use the Unity Asset Store, ArcViz Pro, there's like a set of like 10 packs that are all like housing interiors.
More complicated things sometimes, way back in the day, like plants and stuff, I would think typically get from the Unity Asset Store.
Beginning, I actually used to buy a lot of assets on CG Trader.
CG Trader.
Sometimes it takes too long to model everything from scratch, and so I've tried sourcing models from online websites like Sketchfab, Turbo Squid, Free 3D, CG Trader.
But even these ones I edited myself at some point, made them more unique.
I make all mine from scratch myself nowadays. Back in the day, when I first started, I didn't make them all myself. When I was like doing more like my own projects, I was doing some commissions for people. You know, you would like buy the assets for that project and stuff.
Everything's from scratch.
Everything in this world I made myself. Besides the ivy leaves were an asset, but then I just edited them all together. So it was like, it's really just the texture.
Most of the things I make myself, when it comes to difficult things, like shaders, for example, either I ask a very good friend of mine to help me out with it, or I just scramble the asset store for things of the like that I probably can modify in some sense of the word.
In Altspace, I started doing these landscape shaders, and I wanted to port it to VRChat. The water shader is something I just developed from something I already had, and I recycled a lot of content, but also developed new stuff.
Cyberlove Okinawa probably has the most like game prefabs because it was kind of my attempt at like a game world a little bit.
All the game prefabs I've got are from Booth.
I tend to get any of those kind of prefabs from VRC Prefabs group has a great resource.
The first and easiest place is the VRC prefab like docs list. It's just like a public Google Excel sheet essentially that just has like a bajillion links that's constantly updated by the community to pretty much like every free Worlds prefab that exists for every version that's existed. You kind of have to know some more specific creatives for specific World stuff if you wanted to get it, because some stuff isn't free, and like for instance a lot of the stuff that's made by the JP community that's on Booth, even if you look up on Booth, it's so hard to find.
But I also create like my own sound effects just with random objects that I have in my room. Like you could basically turn everything into a scary sound. You just have to be creative with like effects and all of that.
When you make a world, you make it in Unity, you make it in Blender, you use Substance Painter. Now these are all things that help you make a VRChat world, yes, but also things that game devs use to make their games. So I'm wondering, how similar is making a world to game development? Of course, at the end of the day, it would depend heavily on the world creator themselves. I mean, you can't compare a chill-out world to a proper full-on game, but it's still the same tools. I think it's probably more similar than most people think. If you were to have a Venn diagram and one side of the circle is typical games development, and then the other side is VRChat World Creation, how big is the overlap and what lies in the middle?
It's a circle. They're the same image. No, there's a few differences.
I'm actually really glad you asked this because this is a hill I've died on with friends of mine who are in the industry. I've had a lot of people in the industry kind of tell me like you're a game developer, like you do similar things to what I do, and I actually think it's very different.
We're world building, dressing worlds like you would in game development, but we don't have a design. So like unlike other world creators who have like premises and games, like we don't have that. So I think that's where the similarity ends.
Like we have a lot more just like base tools and SDK stuff for us at our disposal. It's much more user friendly to say the least.
The thought has entered my mind, maybe I should make my next game just standalone, but then I would have to figure out all the networking things and make a server and things like that. Screw that. VRChat has already solved that all for me.
I think there's similarities mainly in the way that we're using things like Unity to make things functional. There's scripts and level design in certain cases.
When you start doing programming for the worlds, that's where it gets really complicated because anyone can throw objects in a project, but when it comes to the programming,
it's like getting into developing your first VRChat world is indefinitely easier than getting into developing your first game. But if we're actually talking about like the base skills that go into it, it's it's very much a lot of the same stuff. I mean, the environmental portion of making a game, of course, there's tons of parts to making a game, but if we're just talking about like the environmental portions, for sure, it's like 1-to-1, if not the same.
I think it's pretty similar with the development, actually. A lot of things are very similar, especially with Unity. I've seen some of the developers outside of VRChat creating things, and I already knew what they were doing, kind of.
I think widely for us world creators, we're creating environments for a social VR game, which has a completely different set of needs than you would have for a video game where you're constantly moving or have objectives. In a way, we're kind of the ones with the objectives when it comes to creating. You need to design a room so people will congregate. You need to design a room so people will go where the social situation or whatever's going on is happening.
I think everything else, a lot of what Sam's doing with his 3D work, all of that correlates completely, like cross-correlates, but like beyond that, I wouldn't call it like game development. I would call it more like environment art.
I often talk to people that like really want to get into environmental art, and they're like, where should I start? What should I do? I genuinely think VRChat is such a cool, fun tool for that, because I don't think there's any other platform in the world where if your dream is to be an environmental artist, you can like become a personality and people will like recognize you and be like, whoa, you make stuff and I really like your stuff. And like, sure, that can happen to environmental artists in like their own environmental artist world, but I don't think there's been a platform that's been quite as enabling and so like teaching as VRChat for like a medium so closely to like game dev ever. Like if you want to get into game dev and you just don't know really where to start, I would suggest so heavily just make a world. The crossover is crazy. You'll learn all the base skills for both of them because really it's the same. The only real difference is when you get to like the coding and stuff. So it's like,
Now let's talk about old worlds, because I miss so many old worlds. Like I really do. And so do my friends who I brought on as special guests to help with a regular player's perspective.
Hey guys, my name is Jamaun and I play VRChat too much. So
my name is Hudson. I play VRChat a lot right now, but I want to minimize it as much as possible.
It's somewhat of a shame. There are some really good old worlds, but they're all dead now. And yes, a lot of them are outdated, but they're still good.
Most of it nowadays is like old worlds are just broken, just never get updated, or there's a lot of old worlds that have gotten deleted. Like I'll look through like playlists I have saved and I can't like find them anymore, so that's kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
But old world changes are like changed a lot, especially since like the major shift to Udon and stuff.
They're tested, but outdated. Sure.
Early VRChat like worlds were a spectacle because they were like new, and the fact that you could visit a world in VR, that was kind of the pull. Now that we've become accustomed to it, like old worlds, there's very little appeal, and so a lot of those older worlds haven't aged very well, other than some outliers, I feel like.
So do VRChat world creators ever think about redoing their old worlds so they are up to par on what we expect from the modern age?
Yes, actually.
I do, in fact. I do go back to my old worlds and redo them.
I do, and I have.
Every now and then I'll go look at my old stuff and be like, damn, look how far, like we've come from here.
Oh yeah, I actually currently in the process of like updating these worlds.
The example of which I would give for, kind of like building on one singular project and kind of remaking it would be this CyberLive series. CyberLive started with a CyberLive cafe, which I actually made in Pro Builder. And I think it was my last Pro Builder world. So it was kind of the peak of my technology at the time. I remade it in Blender, loved that project. And then I kept remaking the series. I made the suites, which kind of evolved all the way up into Okinawa, which I think is one of my most beautiful worlds.
My recent map, Lonesome Aurora, was like a spiritual successor to one of my very first successful maps, Outcasted. I'm doing the same as we speak. In fact, I'm making a third in a series at the moment because I have this map that I made forever and ever ago called Clock Tower. And I really liked the concept, but I didn't think I did it like justice the first time. So I tried to do it again like later on, like a year or so after I first made the first one. And now I hate that version. And I've just the other week started reworking on the third version. One of my more popular maps, actually, Sundown, will eventually eventually be getting an update called Sundown Eventide.
If there is a really, really big interest in my community to make a new game or like redo it, I do it, and also if I feel like it. So Laserdome, for example, has been once completely just overwritten. Due to the way I work and the way I create, it's kind of difficult for me to go back to a project and do changes in it because I didn't make the game with that in mind when I started on it. Like, I didn't know if the game was going to be something that I will want to change later on or not. So I didn't bother. And if I do want to do it now, yeah, screw me, right? Shit, I have to get back into my old code, I guess.
Now, on the topic of old worlds, I actually have an old world of my own. 2, in fact, and they are trash. But these worlds were passion projects and a learning opportunity. Could I do better now? Yes, for sure. The main thing I think about when looking at remaking potentially these old worlds is that I'd have to completely restart from scratch. I mean, Cafe Dusty here was made in SDK 2, and everything you see is either made by me in Pro Builder or it's a Unity asset from the asset store. And we have Udon now, and that's the scariest thing. It's so different.
I stuck on SDK 2 for a while because I know nothing about programming.
SDK 2 came with these kind of legacy, well, now legacy, I guess like prefabbed buttons and stuff. That's actually how I learned to do a lot of functionality in Unity.
With SDK2, I only used it for mirrors.
My first world was SDK2. It was basically just a world to like hang out with my friends. And then obviously I started doing horror stuff. My first world was like a Dead Space inspired kind of world, which never came out. When I started like working on the project, it was like a month in. They announced that they're gonna stop using SDK2 and switch to Udon or SDK3.
At the end of SDK2, I was making a world. I got the puzzle working and I was like, this is amazing. I'm making history right here. And then Udon came out, and then making the switch to Udon just made me not continue that.
And I actually considered quitting world building for a while. I guess at the time I was not willing to learn about, you know, making toggles and stuff. And to this day, I don't understand scripts or anything.
When that came out, I needed to rely on people who could make prefabs of things like mirror toggles and things like that. And I did go down the route of learning how to use the Udon graph, but it just, my mind does not work well in that way.
Udon is really confusing.
Because you're going from what SDK2 was, which was essentially just a very simple trigger system, which I think most people could probably figure out, into, I mean, a whole code base and then like a whole block coding system. And it was for sure a huge jump in like complexity. So yeah, I struggled forever. I still struggle. I suck at coding.
CyanTriggers, made by CyanLaser.
CyanTrigger, I will use.
There are tools nowadays that make it way easier. There's things like CyanTrigger, which is essentially just what SDK2 was.
That is super helpful because it pretty much imports SDK2 into SDK3. So all the toggles you do are just SDK2 toggles. I use that all the time. That's how I do all my toggles, and it just simplifies everything for me.
But it opened up a lot of doors and avenues for a lot of other fun stuff to do in Worlds. So I think overall it was good. I learned to like it.
It's really, really, really powerful. And the more you get into it, the more powerful it becomes. And now I'm at the point where VRChat is holding me back a little bit. So I have to work around their systems to make things the way I want it to work sometimes.
Now, Udon is one thing, but Udon 2 is on the horizon. I mean, it's been on the horizon for a long time now. I don't know if it's ever getting closer or if it's just standing still out there on the horizon. It's coming with things like persistence, which is very exciting, isn't it?
I am really excited for Udon 2 and especially the persistent update.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it and what will come from it. But for my worlds personally, I'd like to include it, but I'm scared I won't know how.
If you would have asked that question like a year or two ago, I would have been terrified because every major update that happened back then broke everything that I have made.
I'm looking forward to persistence.
I think persistence is super important for VRChat, even if it's something small for like the settings in a world. I'm surprised it's not out yet.
I love the persistent thing. I think it's a great idea, especially for like story worlds. For this one, for example, like Smile Room would be perfect.
Udon 2 is mostly a back-end change, so we won't have to learn many things besides a few more like methodologies to do a few things better, if you kind of get what I mean. I don't think it'll be like a huge retraining process or anything like that.
I think it's going to be a big step into the right direction to make things more performance friendly, and also opens a lot more doors to like new features and gets rid of certain limits that we currently have in VRChat for Worlds.
The changes, like as far as performance go, will be huge. Like looking from what they've said, there have been like a ton of like very huge optimizations and changes for Udon 2 coming out.
I hope that it will have some features like also networking, everything that makes a lot of stuff easier and hopefully even more performant. I hope so. I don't know it.
I'm excited about Udon 2, but apprehensive because we haven't seen too much of it in works yet. We'll see how like it is when it comes out. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I'm excited about it. I think like our development that's going on here is positive. I'm also used to have a platform that's not really developing a lot and actually still seeing many updates here. I don't have a feeling I'm left alone here or like nothing is moving. Still some development going on here.
And that's a really good point from Niko. There is development going on. We're not left in the dark, and we have contact of the VRChat devs. There's no other game that's actually kind of like that.
Can I go local here? I saw you online, and I was like, holy. I don't need your sass. That doesn't move. What are you?
But we'll get back to that later when we talk about communication from VRChat. And now, for advice. What advice should be given to people who are just getting into creating worlds?
Start with Blender tutorials. You know, people joke about the donut meme in the Blender community of like, oh, do the Blender donut tutorial. But unironically, do that.
If you do anything, you'll gradually get better over time.
As long as you start doing stuff, you're on the right path.
Keep working, just do Blender stuff.
So getting that kind of mindset, just do stuff all the time, that will initially make it into a habit of just making stuff.
You just need patience for World.
You want to recreate things at first so you can teach yourself how to create things in the future.
I think for me, one of the biggest things that leveled me up as a creator and like opened my eyes up as a 3D modeler was learning Substance Painter. Genuinely learning to texture opens so much, like so many avenues up that you didn't see before when just 3D modeling. Once you've got that modeling basics down, once you're understanding of like how to UV an object, 100% dive into Substance.
Can go into so many directions. Can go into shader programming. You can go more into the scripting using Udon Sharp. Can learn particle system. You can learn like nature environments, big landscapes. Or you can go into modeling, doing Blender. In best case, you learn everything, but it's a big learning curve and like many different learning curves, and you kind of have to start somewhere. And it really depends on what people know already and skills are.
I would say just go with the flow. Try to like figure things out by yourself. Sure, if you need help and you can't find any other way to like move on, find help on the internet or something, but just try, and at some point you will get better. You will learn a lot.
Go to Spooky Ghost Boo on YouTube. Her tutorials are amazing. That's how I started. They are so helpful. Done recent ones as well. It's so good. It tells you exactly how to make a world from start to finish and uploading it. And then they give out the worlds in the description of the video. Well, they should in the description of the video, and it is great.
Make worlds that you want to hang out in, 100%. Don't make worlds that you think are going to be popular or successful or be the next popular world. I would say 100% make a world that you want to hang out with your friends in, or like you would want to spend time in.
With all that, you should have the basics of how to get started making worlds, where to go, and what to do. But I want to focus more on the VRChat side. When in the game, and you open your worlds menu, you're fed certain worlds in multiple different categories. And there is an algorithm that decides what those worlds are. What is that algorithm? I mean, I don't know. You'd have to ask like...
Ooh, I could have literally used to tell you completely. It changed like a few months ago though.
How I've always thought it works is like a world is like reset every week or so.
So what used to be like is you would essentially have a world, whatever day that world was like first uploaded, not even published, first uploaded, would be the day that its heat resets.
And it'll get pushed way down the list. And then that world will have to kind of, in terms of like player count, it'll have to make its way back up the list.
And so essentially, you could have a heat reset like the day before a weekend, and then that would be really tragic for your numbers and pretty much mean the death of a world. And that's just how it used to work. And so you used to need to know like this stupid niche information that was barely out there to like even be able to like release on like in a way that if your world did get popular, it would stay popular. But now that's not an issue anymore. They fixed it, thank God. I don't know, it's much more faster moving now. It has a much bigger emphasis on the new and upcoming. So if something is new and is recently been uploaded and only has 400 people in it, but it was released that day, it'll be above worlds with like 1,000 people in it sometimes, just because worlds that have been up there for longer seem to have a less priority over things that are just new, because VRChat wants as many people as possible to like experience new good things.
Looking at the trending tab, you do have to wonder what methods could be better than what they have on offer. I guess apps like TikTok and even YouTube that fed you this video apps like TikTok and even YouTube that fed you this video have an algorithm that feeds you stuff you'll probably like. Could VRChat have something like that?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that. Like, I wish there was an actual like algorithm like recommended me worlds that I liked based off of what I've like viewed or visited before. Like I like a lot of adventure maps, right? Like adventure maps are fun. Like finding stuff where you could do like escape rooms and this and that are super sick. So I wish it was easier to find those and navigate it.
I mean, let's be honest though. A worlds tab that feeds you your own special worlds is hard to do, and they won't do it. But what worlds tabs do they have on offer? Let's go through them, and I'll say why I hate most of them. All right, let's go through these worlds. First off, VRChat's Variety Box.
I don't know what VRChat's Variety Box even is.
This is a cool addition that they did recently, where it's essentially just a bunch of different worlds from each category. It gives an opportunity for like a lot of different worlds that are on different lists for different reasons to be put in front of the player immediately, which is good and cool. Like that, what a good tab.
Variety Box is non-existent in my eyes. It's just an annoyance to have to change tabs.
I don't think the Variety Box is that good, honestly. I've never used it.
I think this is the worst tab. I don't think anybody actually uses it. Everyone ignores it, and it serves really no purpose. Trending.
I haven't even looked at this thing for so long. Let's go to trending.
Trending, I think it's like way better now. The algorithm's been improved. It's much less stale. Things move quicker. It's nice.
Same old, nothing new.
Usually I'm looking in trending. So that's usually the first place I'm looking personally.
Trending Worlds tab is very consistent. There's never anything new up here. It's always up there, like McDonald's, Like Cat, Among Us.
I think that the tabs to me are really redundant.
Yeah, I don't really understand what the difference is. I don't think they need some of these tabs. They've got trending and they've got popular.
And then the popular tab, okay, work with me real quick. Click on the trending tab, and then click on the popular tab. It still just says trending at the top.
And when you toggle hover these, it's not really giving you much information, just browse or join.
They're different lists though, they're different.
I guess you need to be popular for longer to get in popular?
There's a trending tab, and then there's Spotlight PC, Spotlight cross-platform, and then there's popular, and then there's new and noteworthy. It's like all of them basically telling me, this is popular. Like, check this out. Like, yeah, there's slight differences, but it's like, I feel like it's the same thing. Like,
I don't know. Avatar Worlds.
I'll be honest, I think everyone uses the Avatar search worlds, and then the rest of the popular worlds are kind of just popular because they're pretty, and that's fine.
I hate them. I don't think they're useful at all anymore, and most people I know just buy their avatars, or they use the Avatar search world. Games, good, but something about the Games tab that I hate. There's so many that aren't actually games. Like Sunset Bar, the Midnight Bar, McDonald's, those are not games. Let's see their tags. Game. That's why they have game in their tags, and that's it. That's the only reason why they're in the games section.
I think they should like have a category like for each genre.
Like, I would love like a horror tab. I would love like a music tab. I would love a dancing tab. I would love like a fitness tab.
Like, don't get me wrong, I like the categories already, but mostly it's about like popularity. I think it should be more based around like what it's about, the genre.
I mean, it's cool that we can search worlds and stuff like that, but like, I wish there was a tab where we could hone in on like the specific genre. If there was like a map for you page or something like that, where again, like it gave you like maps that you liked.
Tab, but
but that's like locked to everybody.
Like TikTok,
like,
you mean? Yeah.
You know?
Get lost, Forrest. That's not a game. What are you doing? Anyways, new and noteworthy.
It works, but I think things stay on it for too long.
New and noteworthy could be a good source, I guess, because it's something that just got out of labs.
Definitely the best section. It's what's new, but it's not just all the new shit. It's just the stuff that's actually like popular. Now, Spotlight cross-platform and Spotlight PC.
A lot of them are just a waste of space. The Spotlight PC section has Quest Worlds in it. I don't understand.
I think maybe they're just like VRChat decided.
They really have to come up with better ideas than the Spotlight system, because I think it's handpicked and it's never updated. I think there's worlds from years ago.
If they were updated, I maybe would like it more. I think is the go there.
They used to have Active Worlds cross-platform and Active Worlds PC. And I loved those because they were just like popular but separated by Quest and PC. Now you have Spotlight. Spotlight never gets updated, and I hate it. They need more. They need more.
I think like discovering worlds for me personally in VRChat, it's more about like doing tours and also like the friend system, looking where the friends are.
There are world categories like, oh, I want a game world or I want this. I feel like the UI offers such a limited
it still feels limited.
Yeah, it's not like, it's more like a title thing. You have tags, yes, but a lot of them don't really use tags.
I want to be able to really narrow things down. Like, oh, hey, I want a game, but I want a chill game. Instead, it's just games.
Yeah, it would be better if you had like categories like adventure, sci-fi, like puzzle.
I just kind of have to RNG things. There is some kind of like spectacle that like, oh, I could gamba and like get this really cool world, and I found it myself, and that's a big appeal.
Another thing that I think is such a huge thing in VRChat is older worlds that used to be like once upon a time very popular because they were very good, and they still are to this day. Like they hold up in fidelity, but they don't have any people in them because they're just not in the zeitgeist. They're not popular anymore. They were once upon a time, but they're still amazing worlds. I think there should be a list for these ones.
One thing I'd really like to see is you know how you have a recently visited world history, and that's a great way. Like if you visit a world and you're like, oh, I need to remember that and save it. But I would love like an extensive world history. Like if I could go back like a year and like scroll through worlds and go like select each one, like remember something from a really long time ago, that'd be really sick.
I want better world tabs. I do. Come on, VRChat. Introduce some new shit. Introduce back some old shit you got rid of, and fix your search system. Because if you want to find something, good luck. We don't need popular and trending. You can keep both, but if you have popular, actually sort them based off players in the map. I don't get why you have both. And I certainly don't get why trending is on the top of popular. There's another discussion on how much crap you have to sort through to find the good worlds. I'm sick and tired of seeing avatar worlds all over the place. And more than that is re-uploads of worlds for sale under a different name. I interviewed Wispy and Sam, and they both sell worlds, and they're great. But I'm sick of seeing re-uploads of Sundown and Starry Nights, especially. I wish there was some algorithm that would recognize re-uploads and mark them as such so we don't waste our time when exploring worlds. Or, VRChat could actually hire some people to go through the worlds that are uploaded as they're uploaded and properly moderate them, rank them, and see if they're good or accurate in their description. But VRChat would never do that, especially after firing 30% of their staff. And on top of all of that, there is the PC and Quest Worlds problem. I mean, I think it's a problem at least.
Yeah, I think we're like pretty discernible when you need
the two things I freaking are guy balls. Okay. Get out of here, get away.
I've definitely noticed, like, at least in the form of world creators, your chances of success without a quest version are very minimal.
Worlds that are both, I think, definitely get pushed up on trending more. Like, I don't know, when was the last time you saw a PC-only world on trending at all?
I have a conspiracy theory because every time I released a game that was PC only, someone from VRChat approached me and said, hey, try making it Quest compatible. Every time different people.
I'm trying to focus a lot on keeping it Quest compatible. And that's the biggest issue in VRChat because like performance is not that easy on Quest, especially on Quest 2.
Like every time I post a trailer or every time I post something that I'm working on, I always get the is it Quest compatible in the comments from the Quest users.
Pushing it into these 100 megabyte you have here in VRChat, that's not easy, but it's a limitation kind of needed because if they would just say, okay, now you can upload 500 megabytes, people will upload and the Quest would just crash because of all that memory.
I feel very bad that the Quest isn't more powerful.
Me personally, I hate Android VR a little bit with a passion. I think VR should be detailed and immersive and like it should be like over the top. Now, I also think it should be accessible, so
I'm a hard PC only creator because that's what I'm comfortable with and because I want to push Udon as hard as I can to make something that is really, really, really intricate, like in how it works and what it can do.
It kind of sucks because on PC, we can make these like really beautiful environments and they're still as beautiful or they're equivalent on Quest. But I mean, so specifically post-processing is just a thing that you can't do on Android.
As a user, I really prefer PC worlds because I know what I'm getting. I know sort of the vibe and environment will be less chaotic.
I think the biggest way I can describe a lot of like Quests and how colors end up feeling on Quest for me is like very like dead and bland, which is just a habit of the color space that they're in.
there's a lot of Quest users.
I mean, they're the majority of the player base, and I still want them to be able to experience and enjoy my work regardless. Like, I don't want to exclude anyone.
As a developer, I understand like how important it is to have all the Quest users and PC users and everybody all together and cross-platform and how that helps like the ecosystem grow.
I think the future of virtual reality will be go more into mobile. Like the biggest growth, I guess, will be in mobile. With like all these new devices coming out, Zuckerberg pushing that best stuff. I mean, the biggest gaming market is mobile games. Like even if their PC games are much better than and much more powerful than mobile games, but the biggest market is the mobile games. So I think it will be similar in VR.
I know that it's important for Sam and I to include Quest versions in all of our worlds. And I know that when I was talking to interviewing at VRChat, they really applauded that our worlds were Quest and PC, so.
I really don't like that the only mentality. I mean, if you have a friend group that just says PC, it's okay, but I also know communities where it's a mixed community. I mean, if you have to start like a PC only instance and you kind of have to exclude people, I think that's a bit difficult. So I'm trying to really do everything to make it Quest compatible so everyone can use it.
At some point, it stops being a worlds discussion and it becomes a hardware discussion. The future of VR is in standalone headsets, according to Meta at least. And it's very clear when you look at the prices of headsets that the Quest is the most affordable option. And many people don't have VR-ready PCs that they can link it to. And with the rising cost of living, well, you get another discussion about economics. I don't know anything about all that. I don't want to talk about it, but while playing the game as a regular player, it's impossible to ignore the simple fact that a large majority of the underage player base, kids, is on Quest. Parents are buying their kids a Quest because it's VR. It's a cool like Christmas gift. They get VRChat because it's free.
Alright, I'm about to go. It was nice to meet you. Let me add you.
And on the other hand, most of the PC users are adults. So this then becomes the topic of age gating and separation of those audiences. Now, age gating has been a contentious topic recently, as a game without age gating in place, one of the more consistent ways of keeping kids out has always been to be in a PC-only world. Just look at the difference between the player bases of the Pug and the Black Cat.
I mean, I don't know. There's that side of it. Like, I'm in the middle of making a drinking world at the moment, and I'm like in a big question. I'm like, do I even make a quest? Like, do I really want to? Because I'm gonna add like the age restriction thing, but everyone lies about that anyway. So it's like, do I even make a quest? But then it's like, there's a pretty high chance that if I don't make a quest, it'll just flop. But then it's like, is that difference adults or is that difference children? And then if that difference is children, I mean, I'd rather it flop, if you know what I'm saying. So it's like, ugh.
It's one of the reasons so many people I know were upset that FBT Heaven became Quest compatible. When your world is Quest compatible, more kids get in. It's just a fact. An uncomfortable fact, because it's also people who don't have as much money, who can't afford a PC, who get a Quest. I don't know, man. Maybe once age gating actually is in place, I wouldn't be so concerned, but for now, I like PC-only worlds because I know who's in it. Adults.
I'm not sure what this is.
We're just sucking up dust particles right now. Yeah, give Sam a kiss.
Aww.
Aww.
When I interviewed avatar creators, the common conception was that the VRChat team heavily prioritizes world creators over avatar creators. And in turn, world creators get more tools and support. I mean, we'll get to it later, but worlds get the creator economy. Avatar creators, as of now, don't. But is that true? And how do world creators really feel about it?
It does seem in the air a little bit that like people kind of wish there was more like involvement, like, you know, cross between creators and devs and stuff.
I don't think they interact with the community as a whole enough, not just world creators.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of other creators completely quit making things for VRChat because of this reason, that they didn't feel heard or acknowledged.
I think if you're comparing like the communication between avatar creators and world creators certainly get a lot more than avatar creators.
Like for me, I only got a single email in total.
Everyone kind of has the vibe that they're a little exhausted by VRChat's communication to do with everything. You know they're trying, but sometimes it's like, oh, I wish more stuff was happening. You know what I'm saying?
They really need to reach out to creators more. That's their job.
Me personally, I am way too shy. I've had a lot of devs like reach out to me. I think that personally, I think they've been very communicative.
For me, from what I've seen so far and heard so far, I think it's not bad.
I have contact to some people from VRChat sometimes.
I've had some really good communication with VRChat.
A little bit of an unbiased perspective, I think that as a world creator, there are groups and systems in place that have been like really supportive from VRChat perspective.
Yeah, I don't know. They've all shown a lot of support towards me and Camille. We've been really happy with that.
If I needed to hotline to like development, I could do that really easily. I feel really confident that if Sam and I had questions or concerns, we could voice those and they would be listened to for sure.
Overall, you know, I can't complain too much. They've helped me out a lot. They've offered me a lot of help. You know, they put my work on spotlight and stuff. You know, they've certainly made me feel welcome.
When they approach me and ask me what I want, I have opinions and I have ideas, but I don't seek them to try to get something from them because I'm pretty sure that they know better what VRChat needs than I do.
I was used to Altspace, and the Altspace team didn't really communicate a lot. It was Microsoft. When I came to VRChat, it was actually a really positive experience for me because I was just used to have no communication at all. Some people might see it in a different way because they maybe even know better communication from other platforms. In my case, I can't complain.
It really does feel like the attitude towards world creators is more friendly from the VRChat side. But honestly, that makes sense. Without worlds, there is no VRChat. Without avatars, you can still play the game. I mean, I'd hate to be unable to see thick anime bunny girls as much as the next guy. You know what I mean? The game's like 70% worlds and 30% avatars, which is why the previously mentioned creator economy got implemented with worlds first. At this point in the video, let's talk about money, starting with the creator economy. What is it? Basically, it's a way for VRChat to bring in transactions to do with VRChat that previously only existed on third-party websites into VRChat, so they can get a cut of the money.
You can set up functions through your world that allow people to make microtransactions with in-game currency to buy access, boosts, cosmetics, whatever in your world directly through the world.
The creator economy is a kinda rushed product that I think they had to get out to reach a milestone. That's what it feels like. That's just my impression of it.
It's a typical thing used in many other games. Microtransactions, baby. V-Bucks, COD coins, and Epstein embryos. We feed the rich with 20% of our payments online every day. VRChat now also has V-Bucks. I wouldn't call them anything else. They are V-Bucks. It has a V in like the symbol thing. You can't change that.
It works through the groups.
It's basically like you have a group in VRChat, and that group has a shop, and you get a certain role in that shop when you buy it.
When you have a group set up with a shop, you'll have a shop tab. It'll have a list of like things you can buy. Things you buy will effectively, give you perks in Worlds.
Now, the creator economy should be good. It allows easier access for all these purchases for the regular players of the game. But of course, there are problems.
And it's a really easy system as a creator, but of course, a big part of the money is going to other people.
When paying for something through VRChat, you'll have to increase the price a little bit compared to something like Patreon because of the cut that Steam takes. Paying the payment service they use, as well as VRChat, take a small take.
Meta, when people buy their credits through Meta, and it's actually a big amount of money that Meta is getting. Zuckerberg is getting a lot of money for everything that's going through that system, yeah.
The biggest problem is the cut. Patreon, for example, takes 5% of your earnings, and then you pay taxes based off of whatever country you live in. The creator economy takes its own cut for VRChat, they get the money, then another cut for the payment providers. Then if you're on Meta, it's Android, so you pay another cut to the Android store. So what you end up with is creators that don't want to use the creator economy because it takes their money away. So when they do use it, because they get more traffic, they raise their prices and it screws over the consumer.
I was extremely excited about the creator economy to have everything under one roof, but it was just lacking.
How they could fix it? Well, first of all, they can make it simpler to use, I guess.
I kind of forced it into my worlds because I want it to succeed. Like, I really badly want everything under one roof.
And then there's not even one-time payments yet, which is insane. I will not use it.
I have expressed my feelings around it with the devs as well, so they know my standpoint and why I'm not like hard pushing it in my world.
Dude, you have your titties out, man. What are you talking about?
Yeah, at least I have limbs. Look at you, you're stupid looking cute.
So how do world creators make money? The most profitable one is VIP, baby. Is Patreon.
My VIP works with the user pays for it through Patreon. They get automatically connected to their Discord account if their Discord account's connected. And they'll get the role in my Discord server. They'll get a DM from Udon VR, who hosts our VIP system for us.
There's something called Disbridge. For the services, you pay like a specific amount a month.
They will have to link their VRChat account to Udon VR, which is just sending your link in. Then within about 5 minutes, you can access the VIP room.
The thing that I give my supporters through the VRChat economy, to be clear, to have the record straight, is you get a skin on your gun or you get a logo on your team. That's what I'm giving my creators that support me through the VRChat economy. Now, VIP areas or rooms or special group instances that you can join if you pay the creator, all power to them, but nothing that I'm interested in at all. That feels weird.
I think a lot of world creators successfully run VIP instances, and in a lot of cases better than we do. I think we're still even learning the best way to do it.
I think it's a neat feature. Sure, you support creator, but you also get something from it.
I think it's the easiest, least rippable way to earn an income through VRChat.
I mean, it's pretty cool, I guess, but I don't know. It depends on the world. If someone has VIP to like the B Club or something, it's like, okay, I guess it's cool you're supporting a map creator.
They know what they're getting. They should know what they're getting in terms of the VIP space. And hopefully they feel like the $2 or $7 that they spend is like worth it.
I think, Patrons or even like VIP rooms and having that incentive is cool to support the map creator, just for putting it out for us to use for free anyway.
Now, the conversation about VIP rooms brings up a whole other conversation about private areas. For whatever reason, part of the map being locked off from others. There was a Twitter thread, Wispy told me about that, but I don't know how much I trust that thread because Twitter in itself is a cesspool, and most people don't like to use it except for the chronically online. Gods, someone claimed I called them a groomer because they were in the B-roll when I started talking about groomers in my Good, Bad, and Ugly video. I don't know.
For an open game like this, a social platform where they should focus on creativity of people, locking things away from people and forcing them to pay something to get in there just tastes bad in my mouth. I don't like it.
Obviously, sometimes you need to have some private time with your friends, especially in those larger worlds, like I guess B Club would be a good example. I think that's great. You know, I think people should have their time away, even if it's paid. Obviously, you know, I do private rooms as well. I think it's a good way for creators to monetize, and it's a good way for the community to have privacy and kind of their own spaces.
The beginning of the year, my idea was essentially for this year, what I was going to do is I was going to release a map every month, and every single map I released, it was going to be like an exclusive VIP area that was going to be only on like the version of my account, just for like supporters for sending a little extra. But then I saw like the response to that, and then like, because I already have a few worlds with like VIP areas, and people are just like, I think they're very meh on them. And I think in my head, I was like, I'm just going to make 1,000 VIP areas. So if you do get it, it feels cool and it feels like you're getting some value. But then I'm like, I don't know if anyone's really exploring like that. And like, do you really want to go back to the places you've already been once you got a pass just to go to the VIP area? And then like, if it's not even that great and it's just like another room that kind of gives like you a few extra things. I think the arguments against them are pretty strong. I think the arguments for them are like, creator want money, and it's a kind of decent way to monetize a world. Like, you don't need to get into there.
Yeah, as a user, they used to really piss me off. I'd be like, what the f***? I want to know what's in here. And it wasn't always clear how to get access. I was really confused a lot of the time on how to even get in. And if I had something like creator economy where it was just like, $2 button, I can have access and my friends can come in, then I probably would be like, oh, okay, that's worth it for me. But for world creation, we're just not making an income that's meaningful outside of those spaces. And so to be able to create something that's a little extra special for the people that do want to support us and to like have that incentive is really worth it. And we always try to make them super fair. Sam and I really early discussed not ever gating something or making something in the VIP section super separate from the world. You're just getting a perk. It's not the main focus of the world. So
now there are other ways world creators make money. Commissions are one. Making a world for somebody by request for money.
Commissions, they're like kind of a weird thing for me. Commissions are like where I got started, like making this my career.
There are definitely some of like my best worlds that I made for other people that people wouldn't even know were mine.
It's one of the most common ways.
I would come expecting to pay them fairly. Often worlds take, you know, hundreds of hours to make, depending on the size.
So many world creators are at such like a wide variety of like skill. So I think the amount people charge is also at such a wide variety. Like you can get a world from like a pretty decent world creator for like $500, but like you can also get a world for like $2,000 sort of thing.
Then you have selling worlds.
I love the idea of selling worlds,
which is making a world fully and then selling said world for people to do whatever they want with it.
Selling worlds is like a very, I think overall being a person that sells stuff on Gumroad is just such like a blessed, awesome job.
I've designed stuff and Sam's made we've made so much stuff. And so in practice, buying a box and decorating it, it's like The Sims. It's like the perfect thing to be able to do. I feel really strongly I would have loved to do that when I was first trying to learn how to create worlds.
It's kind of like selling an avatar. People can customize them as they please.
There has been a lot of cases where people have leaked them and resold our worlds, which is a little bit sucky.
I think I mentioned the drawback to that is just it's all totally rippable.
But those are things you, as a player, won't see or think about much. Then we got the last type of making money, which, let's be honest, is the most controversial. And I hate it in a lot of worlds. In-world advertisements. These posters.
We've had a lot of people approach us for in-world advertisements over the last 2 years. Obviously, we don't have any.
I'm a big believer that advertisements in VR specifically should be well integrated and grassroots.
We really try to make the worlds feel immersive and comfortable, and that is like very quickly immersion breaking.
I will probably not do that in the near future.
Well, I do those.
I think they're fine. Like, I think they have their place, and like that's like a big part of a lot of like supporter creator economies for people that have like more popular worlds, like movie worlds and stuff. And so I don't inherently think it's like a terrible thing.
I'm fine with it. People can do what they want.
For me personally, I don't ever put any posters in my worlds. I just don't like it. It's not my thing.
I definitely have a problem when you go to like a larger world and it's like every hallway is, oh my God, buy this new headset, or, you know, come join our dating site or whatever.
I think places like Midnight Rooftop and stuff have done it really effectively. I think with the posters, and they fit into the space and it feels right. I think our spaces are just so small that putting a big flyer like that would just be too aggressive.
Have it be immersive. Have it be in a place where like there would really be an advertisement. Don't put it in people's faces. Don't litter the whole place with advertisements.
If someone I really respect in VRChat, someone I'm friends with, like drops a new game or does whatever, I slap their thing in there by my own accord because I want them to have their stuff be seen, because it's a cool ass project.
Yeah, that's how a lot of people actually like got to know about me or like my maps. I think it's a great way to like promote your stuff, especially in popular worlds.
Things that advertise things outside of VRChat or like kind of predatory, like the dating apps on like people's perceived loneliness in VRChat. Like it's a really good target, like community, right, for that kind of stuff. Just feels predatory. I think I would feel too much shame if I put people on that kind of platform.
You know, just don't be a dick. Don't be evil. We're not like big corporations here. So like just keep that in mind. Don't let that attitude flood in, because that's exactly when we're going to ruin this type of community that we have.
We've all seen them in worlds like Midnight Rooftop or any of the movie worlds like this one, and they can be tasteful. In general, I don't think they're that bad. I think they're a good way for people who generally don't get any money to get something. And if you're okay with ads in a YouTube video, you should be okay with ads on posters in the popular worlds, if they're in a reasonable amount. This is too many. What the Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to Popcorn Palace. We're gonna walk around and take a look at how many advertisements they have. We've got an ad right off the bat for Nick's Trackers. There's the people who made it. Ad number 1, 5 more. Ooh, 4 more over there. In this hallway, we've got 3 plus 3 more. All right, into the main room. That's 1, 4, and on the back wall, 8. Holy shit. 4 on that wall, 3 on that wall. If we keep going, 2 on this wall, 1 on that wall, 8 on that wall there. Holy shit, are you keeping track right now? That's so many. There's 2 more. This one's the crazy one. 8 on that wall. And there's even more on the other one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. It's 10. Here's another Never Met ad, and then that person's Twitch, so that's 2 more. We got 3 in this hallway, and if you thought there wouldn't be in this room, you were wrong. 4 and 4 more. That's 8. It's 3, but it counts as 1 because they're all the same thing. That's a picture. That's just a picture. That's nice. I like that one. But we got 2 more right here. Another one. It's 4 on the back wall, 3 right here. We got 2 on the wall, 4 right next to the fucking video player so you can see the ad while you watch. 11 on the back wall. Holy shit, it doesn't end. 3 on the wall. If you thought the gaming room would be clear, you were wrong. 1, 2, that's 5 in the gaming room. That's too many fucking ads. Holy shit, how much money are they making per? I don't know. Some of those probably aren't ads, they're like VIP things, but still VIP, by the way. That's how many VIP patrons they get on whatever website it is. Holy shit. They're making so much money from this world. It's stupid.
Yeah, this is one of the coolest. I have to play like this with friends or something.
This is sick though. This is sick though.
Thank you. Dude, I got 4 fingers.
That is a...
Thanks, man.
Wow, look at that!
I need you to pick up a gun, shoot some watermelons, and get your cheeks out there.
Hang out, dude.
I think it's about time we move on to the final topics of today. Things VRChat does in relation to worlds for the community. The first thing being World Jams. Now, World Jams are occasional events that lets world creators come together and make worlds on a specific topic. There's a Space Jam a while back. Halloween is one that happens every year alongside Christmas. And these worlds get their own category, their own tab, that shows only those worlds. How fun.
The last gem was the space gem, and first I just said I don't have time to make a new world now. I teamed up with Tajazuka. I did some shaders for the Scarlet Monarch, and the Scarlet Monarch was actually the winner of the space gem.
I participated twice in a row. In the first year, I put the Smile Room in it. Next year after that, I put Fierce into it as well.
I've never taken part. I think they're kind of cute. They used to give away like really good prizes for them, and they don't do that anymore.
I think there was like prizes back then, but I think VRChat stopped that.
Those sort of events tend to be, you know, about creating groups and teamwork within a lot of the creators here. I noticed a lot of the world jams tend to be certain creators who kind of have their cliques. You know, they'll come together and they'll be like, let's work on this.
I assume a lot of player visits are actually because of the event. I think it's a great way to like promote your stuff, but also like see how other people like create things and like see other people's work.
It just has its own tab, nicely organized. You see what's popular and then less popular. You can just work through it, and if people like your worlds, you get a lot of publicity through that.
It's a good way for new creators. You know, they'll create something and it'll be pushed to the top of the menu.
And I think it's good for morale, and I think it's good just to kind of innovate. I think those events tend to encourage creators to problem solve and create new features and new types of games, which honestly is often a breath of fresh air.
What a lot of people lack when they have the skills of making something is direction. Like, where do I want to sail if the wind blows that direction, right? So VRChat going up, make this, should be this and this and this and this. You have a goal that is very clear for you what it should be within what framework, right?
I really
Dude,
like
I love game jams.
I think it's cool. Some of my favorite games have come from game jams. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like,
I think it could be done better. I wish they could engage with it more. Like, I wish maybe, like I said, like maybe put like some more prizes on the line. Maybe hype people up for it a bit more. I feel like every year it kind of gets dominated by like a few maps, and then sometimes they allow maps from like that people have been making for years to be entered just because they made a spooky update, which I think is bad. Why would you know? New maps only.
It's rare that people really drop like super creative like stuff, like organism or anything like those, or you know, those come out of nowhere and it's just like crazy. But game jams give people like a good batch of fresh worlds. It comes with a cool theme. You get a whole drop of really cool maps that you can explore with homies, and it's fun, you know.
These world jams are some of the most looked forward to events throughout the year. New cool worlds to explore. Honestly, I wish there were more cool big maps coming out.
I just want VRChat to make more interesting, innovative worlds.
I had this thought. What if VRChat paid its creators? I don't mean just pay them. I mean commission, support. Pretty much, I want my VRC Plus money to bring cool new maps that I can explore. Something big like Devouring was when it came out. Smile Room, Pop Escape.
Dude, please. If I'm giving you my VRChat Plus subscription, I don't care about features on my menu or this or that. If you put the money towards like back into the community and like give us cool stuff made by like well-known creators, then frick, bro. And then just say like, oh, make them like VRChat Plus gets like early access or something. Put that money back into community. Like, frick, dude. I wanted to see some cool maps, man.
Imagine our money being given to developers to make a new map for us every month. It's an idea. Just a way to revitalize the game. I don't know how it would really work.
imagine if you have unlimited scope, unlimited like resources. You can just make whatever you want, make something insane. Like that would be so cool. I would love to see maps like that. I bet they would be some of those groundbreaking things.
Now there is one map that everyone looks forward to every year. The New Year's map. The end of the year. Many people's favorite time. The holidays. And at the end of it all, the new year. Imagine Times Square with the ball dropping, but instead of corporate advertisements, you get posters, banners, showcasing all different aspects of the VRChat community. World creators, big event groups, and content creators are the typical ones featured. Then you get all these different storefronts with custom interiors of whatever group or person that it's for. Usually map creators for those, because they're the ones with the skills to make good, like, interiors.
I've had a poster in for the last 2 years.
This last year, I did have the honor of being on one of the billboards.
We were really excited about having a poster, not this last New Year's, but the one prior. We were doing the creator economy beta and kind of keeping an open dialogue with their team. And then they asked us to come back and do the upstairs lounge. And I think that was a really, really cool opportunity for us. It was really exciting.
Camille and I had the opportunity to make the hangout space for the New Year's World, which was really fun.
Last year was actually my first time ever being in it. It was genuinely one of my dreams going into like making stuff for VRChat. I was like, the very first year I ever played VR, it was just before New Year's, and I went to their New Year's World and I saw all the posters up. I was like, damn, that's really cool. And then the next year I went, it was like I'd become like more developed as a creator, and I was like, my dream is to be up there. And I did it last year, and I was really proud of myself. It was super cool, a really fun experience.
When I made Laserdome 1, like the first Laserdome, I think they approached me to have a booth in there.
I feel like they reached out to me.
Some people also wrote to me, like from VRChat, if I want to participate. I was a bit late with the submission and I didn't get through. I think like maybe next time I will be able to do it.
I got invited last year.
I would say much like anything, being professional and networking works in your favor. I think if you're passionate about world creation and you're speaking respectively to the development team and you have an open dialogue with them, you will be tapped to do cool and fun things.
The later years now, you like apply in a way to get your poster in there.
Last year, they made it like a public submission thing. So like you just submitted posters. If you submit posters in more aspect ratios, I think you have a higher chance of getting accepted, but you know, who's to say?
They open that submissions for the posters to everybody. Like, put in your poster, keep talking to them, keep trying. It's just like a job, and just be freaking respectful. Because I mean, if you're like shit talking the devs on Twitter, they see that. You can't treat this like it's a game if you're trying to have it as your profession. I think you just got to be respectful.
I don't think that they would like to feature a creator who calls the whole VRChat a piece of garbage team, right?
Then you have a massive screen that plays a live stream of community submitted videos playing throughout the whole time the map is open. I remember a couple of years ago, my good friend Longa submitted a few videos that got in, and it was an incredible feeling. Seeing them play and knowing that every person across all instances of the world were watching that video at the same time. It's my favorite thing that VRChat runs every year. I want to take part this year, but we'll see. It's July. We got time.
Ooh, when's the last time you've been to the New Year's World?
I don't know what you're referencing.
Have you never been to one of the New Year's Worlds? Dude, yeah, this guy's cooked. This guy.
I play VRChat in bursts, okay? It's like...
Yeah, real.
I just thought the only thing to see here was the Black Cat. I thought we just went... We as a VRChat community go to the Black Cat, go to the Pug, suffer, and then take off our VR headsets
he
and realize we're all
these
DJs.
like game mentalities and then go to cooks sleep himself.
At 8 a.m. every night.
Alright, to end this video off, I'd like to showcase some cool worlds. The favorite worlds of everyone I interviewed. So you don't need to shovel through all the crap to find the good ones.
I love the Cyber Love Suites by Artsy Glitch. I think there's 3 of them, and I really like them.
I'll keep tooting the Artsy Glitch horn. Super talented.
All of Artsy Glitch's worlds are really well made.
Obviously, WispyWoo's worlds, I am absolutely in love with. Sundown is amazing.
All of the ones by Sam and Camille, I guess.
I like Sam's worlds.
Because like they're all just like perfect in every way. So those ones.
I really like Pocket Storm and Pocket Rain by Silyataru.
Silyataru's worlds I really like and think that they're a dope human.
I think those worlds are awesome and really well made.
I like some of the older worlds, more honestly. I like A Fine Line and White Silence. A White Silence by Sumeru.
I think both of us really like Organism. Like
Dude, Organism, that whole trilogy, like Organism, Epilogue, are like the best maps in this game.
What an insane experience.
An Epilogue is quite nice.
Just absolute, like, it's crazy.
It's atmospheric,
rooms,
it's
just
eerie.
like atmosphere. Yeah, it's like it's a perfect it's the perfect like vibe.
Obviously Fins.
Fins, for example, has some really nice words.
If I can't mention Sam, then I would say Fins is by far my favorite world creator.
Complex 7, I really like that one. The whole design of it.
The whimsy that Fins creates is so good.
Or that underwater thing, Aquarius, I also like that one.
I would say for horror worlds, I like the Tucker Room. It's a very fun horror map. It's one of my favorite ones.
Jet Set Radio, definitely up there. And, you know, the next world Lakusa makes is also going to be there. Whatever it's going to be absolutely insane.
I've really been enjoying Japan Street since you mentioned it, especially since we had the get together there for Dara Core. It was great, man. I mean, if you have friends with you, that world is really, really fun just because you can make it whatever you want it to be.
One world I love the aesthetic for is Mori, which is by looks like Ruku Mori. A very nice world with a kind of like vintage like audiophile kind of vibe. Very eco-brutalist and clean. Love that.
The world that Dinky made, the Veil and Shoot 'em Down or Gun 'em Down, I mean, awesome worlds. I love those. They also kind of connect a lot with what I make, so there's a lot of overlap between the communities there.
Spirits of the Sea is like one of my all-time favorites. Back in the day, it used to be one of the most popping publics. Even today, it's so comfy. It's so just nice. It's so optimized. It's really well made.
There's one called Ring City Stell we went to. That one is really, really cool. It's like a big shopping mall kind of thing, but it's just really detailed. It feels like it's a VR art piece kind of.
Waves by Mochi is amazing. It's like this flooded pier in the middle of like this ocean, and it's like so hyper realistic. Absolutely love it.
You can't forget about Ooga Booga 2.0. You can't forget about Ooga Booga.
Dude,
oh my goodness. Dude, as far as most fever dreamish yet funny and exciting and explorative world, Ooga Booga 2.0 is like probably the most interesting one I've seen in like a while.
That one was a trip.
For me, my favorite worlds are the ones made by everyone featured in this video. I didn't just ask any creator, I asked my favorite world creators for interviews. Genuinely. Thank you to everyone who helped make this video a reality. Thank you to those who agreed to be interviewed. And I hope you enjoyed the video.
My only thing is like check out my Twitter. It's at Glitch Artsy.
SamVRC.com.
Check our websites out. It has all of our info on it. CamilleSanford.com and SamVRC.com.
If you want to see what I do, you can check me out on Twitter or follow me on Patreon where, not follow me. If you want to see what I do, you can support...
Patreon.com/SamVRC.
Check out my worlds like Exoplanet Journey and check out the other worlds I'm doing. I'm also planning stuff for the future.
If you want to support what I do, you can...
Gumroad.com/SamVRC.
Check out my worlds. Check out Pocket Rain, Pocket Storm. Planetary Dot is still being made.
I'm all flustered. I'm so sorry. It's perfect.
SamVRC.
If you ever played Fate of the Earbloss and enjoyed that game, I have really good news to you that I'm making another PvE game based on space themes. It's not the same. If you want to support me what I do, either go over to Bandcamp and buy my music or head over to Patreon where I post weekly update videos on the project that I'm working on right now.
Support me on my now, please.
Well, if people would like to support me, they can obviously follow me on X or Twitter. I also have a Discord server where we talk about the development and also just have a nice chat with the community.
Follow me on Twitter if you want to see updates. I release a map every single month. Or if you would like to support me and get my maps free every month, you can support me on some Patreon.
Come to Magoobers.
Go to Magoobers.
Hey.
Check it out, Magoobers. Check out Magoobers.
Monday, Friday.
Come to Magoobers
7 p.m.
Monday and Friday, 7 p.m. We'll see you there. I'm running into my door. Oh my god.